Hi everybody, it's Hassan here from RE Exam Buddy, and today I'm going to share with you the much awaited video of more mock exam questions study along. I know it's taken a while. I think it's been almost 2 months that I've posted the last video, so yeah, keen to get back into it, and let's go. Bright Future FSP is licensed for long-term insurance only. Several representatives who passed RE5 started advising clients about derivative-linked investment products. No license amendment or FSCA notification was done, which is the correct regulatory outcome. A. The advice is valid because reps passed RE5 and are competent. B. The FSCA enforcement is likely. Suspension condition requirement to regularize, license and remediate clients. C. Client consent makes advice acceptable and retrospectively. D. The FSP can self-remedy by adding product category at year end without penalty. So let's go through each of the answers. A is wrong. The RE5 shows regulatory competence but does not change the FSP's license scope. The license scope is a separate legal limit. The competence of representatives don't legalize out of scope business. So A is incorrect. B is the correct answer. Operating outside an authorized category is a regulatory contravention. The FSCA's immediate remedial toolbox includes supervisory directives, conditions, and so forth. And if serious, a suspension or withdrawal and remedial actions such as client redress can take place. Expect enforcement and requirement to regularize. C is incorrect. Client consent cannot legalize activity that is unlicensed. Consent is not a cure for regulatory non-compliance. And then D, post-facto changes or late-year filings do not absolve prior breaches. FSCA action can apply. Therefore, the answer is B. A representative provides all product details but excludes disclosure of cancellation rights. What is the compliance status in this regard? A. Fully compliant if terms are explained. B. There's a partial breach, therefore rights disclosure is missing. C. Compliant if the product is suitable. And D. No breach unless the Ombud rules otherwise. So let's go through each of the answers. A is incorrect. Omissions of rights is actually a breach. B is the correct answer because it's a material disclosure and therefore cancellation rights are mandatory. C, suitability doesn't cancel disclosure duties. And then D is incorrect as well because a breach exists whether or not the ombuds intervene. Therefore, the answer again is B. A client on a short-term insurance policy is debited twice monthly in error by the insurer's admin system and cannot resolve it with the insurer. Where should the client take this complaint first? A. Short-term insurance ombudsman. B. The phase ombud. C. The FSCA. Or D. The civil court as the sole route. So let's go through each of the answers. A is indeed correct. Disputes about insurer administration, premium collection, claims, and policy terms for short-term policies fall under the short-term insurance ombud. Very important to remember that. B is incorrect. Why? The phase ombud handles advice and intermediary conduct, not pure administrative insurer errors. If the complaint involved mis-selling or intermediary misconduct, then the phase ombud could be relevant. The scenario is admin error. C, also incorrect. The FSCA is a regulator. A client can report systemic issues, but the first remedy route and adjudicative path is usually the short-term insurance ombudsman. The FSCA may act later if systemic breach is found. Then D is again incorrect. The court is available but not the first or only option. Ombuds provide accessible dispute resolution. Therefore, the answer is A. An FSP debarred a rep internally with an effective debarment date of 1 August. The FSP only updated the Central Representative Register on the 25th of August. In the interim, the rep continued to render financial services. Which is the most immediate regulatory consequence? A. FSCA enforcement exposure, therefore fines or administrative penalties and direction to correct records. B. No consequence if the clients suffered no loss. C. Automatic criminal prosecution of the FSP. And then D. The representative's previous employer is automatically obliged to reinstate clients. So let's go through each of the answers. A is indeed correct. FSPs are required to update registers promptly. Failure to update and allowing a debarred person to continue poses regulatory exposure. The FSCA may impose administrative penalties and corrective measures. B. Why is it incorrect? Regulatory obligations are not conditional on client loss. Non-reporting or allowing a debarred person to operate is itself actionable. C. Why is this incorrect? Criminal prosecution is not the automatic next step. Enforcement is typically administrative or sanction based unless fraud is involved. And D is incorrect because no automatic reinstatement obligation. The employer's duties tend to differ. Therefore, the answer again is A. A rep failed to complete annual CPD hours for 2 consecutive cycles, but remained on the register and continued advising. What is the most accurate regulatory or legal outcome? A. No issue if the representative passed RE5 previously. B. Automatic permanent debarment applies. C. The rep's fit and proper status is compromised. The FSP must assess competency, remediate, and the FSCA may sanction. And D. CPD is voluntary, therefore there's no regulatory consequences. Let's go through each of the answers. A is incorrect. The RE5 is a once-off entry exam. CPD is ongoing. It's about maintaining competence, not initial entry. RE5 alone doesn't exempt you from CPD. Therefore, A is incorrect. B is also incorrect. Debarment is never automatic. The FSP must follow due process, assess circumstances, and allow representation. Debarment is possible, yes, but not guaranteed or automatic. So again, B is incorrect. C is the correct answer. C aligns with the actual framework. CPD failures equals a competence breach. An FSP must restrict or remediate. The FSCA may step in with enforcement if non-compliance persists. And then D again is incorrect. CPD is mandatory under the fit and proper and not optional. Therefore, the answer is C.